MovieWeb.com.
Fantastic what you're getting to do in these movies. It's just really great.
Nobody's more shocked than I. It was really just a little bit part in Iron Man that, for some reason, they started to kind of write more and more stuff for the guy, which never happens. You know, it was 10 scenes, now it's 2, usually. So.
Well, do they come to you after the first Iron Man and say, "Hey, we really like what you did, and we have an idea for an arc over a course of a certain amount of films," or is this?
There was something cool going on where it went from being kind of, I don't know what, 5, 6 lines that I was doing because I love Jon Favreau and he's a pal, to a lot of scenes and like, "Goodbye, Agent Coulson, thank you," from Gwyneth at the end. And I was going, well, this changed. And there was a kind of funny thing from the producers and some of the Marvel guys, kind of like, "Okay, we're gonna be working together, I think." And I was like, "Really? Okay." But I actually, you know, if you do this for any length of time, you hear that a lot more often than it actually comes true. And so when they called and said, "Listen, we're starting up Iron Man 2, you know, we want you there," I said, "Oh my God, for once that actually happened." And then during Iron Man 2, when they said, "Oh yeah, you're going to New Mexico to be in Thor," I started to think, wow, this is amazing. And then I was at Comic-Con getting ready to go on stage to introduce some footage from Thor with the cast of Thor, and Joss Whedon runs over and goes, "Hey man, I'm sorry, I'm meaning to call you. You're in the Avengers. We're going to introduce you as part of the cast." I know, and I was like, this is nuts.
Now I know your character, Agent Coulson, is original, not from the comic books.
Yeah.
But
although he's in them now.
Well, I wanted to ask you about that. And how does it feel to sort of have your image?
The day I was presented an Iron Man comic book that was actually Phil Coulson, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., I was kind of, I'm not sure what to do tomorrow. It was kind of a wet dream moment, if I can.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it would be a great moment. So, well, I was curious if since he is an original character, will there be any nods in the future films, any sort of hints to maybe him manifesting some of the attributes of some of the other S.H.I.E.L.D. characters, like Dum Dum Dugan? Maybe we'll see you with the bowler hat or something in one of these. Or is he going to just stay exactly who he is, stay that original
again,
character?
I wish I knew.
Yeah.
I have a feeling some of those, one or more of those S.H.I.E.L.D. characters are going to make an appearance somewhere.
Right.
But I have a feeling that Coulson so far has really become a new thing that really, I think, probably is useful to them as they try to craft this new version of a Marvel universe that's not in comic book form, but big screen. It gives them room to have somebody who's completely of the moment and flexible, that they can kind of use to kind of make, again, the kind of people have referred to Coulson as the glue, to let him kind of bridge that gap from comic book to modern, God knows,
grounded
3D
in sort of
movie.
the reality. Yeah. And then in Thor, I wanted to ask you about, because I know you're going to be in that, about your role in that. I mean, is it sort of just picking up from the thread that was left at the end of Iron Man 2, where you find the hammer?
Yeah, I can only say very little without suddenly being incinerated to a crisp by the Marvel spy satellite. But I think it's clear from the kind of secret scene at the end of Iron Man 2, which I've heard whispers might be secretly available somewhere on the Iron Man 2 DVD, but I can't confirm that. It's a rumor. It's clear that a hammer has shown up in New Mexico, and that Coulson has been detailed to figure out what that's about and to see if anybody, Donald Blake, anybody might be there.
And that will continue through the Thor
hammer.
film. That's sort of the through line that will continue with your role in this movie.
Yeah, I think Nick Fury's pretty busy.
Okay.
And so it's pretty much Agent Coulson's chance to go take care of this hammer thing. I don't know that anybody would have detailed Agent Coulson there without Nick Fury if they knew how nuts it was about to get.
In this film, in Iron Man 2, it seemed like your role, and especially Sam Jackson's role as Nick Fury, sort of is to tell Downey's character a lot about the exposition of sort of the past and lead to a lot of, it's a lot of talking. And I was curious, are we going to get a chance to see Agent Coulson and Nick Fury really kick some ass in the Avengers movie and maybe in the future in the Nick Fury film? Is that something that you look forward to too, sort of getting more involved in the action?
I hope so. I've been training so hard to actually look plausibly at my age like I could kick some ass. And I think, Iron Man 2 is a very specific dilemma that comes up. And I think the kind of process of bringing Tony Stark down to earth and putting him back in touch with the goals and ideals of Howard Stark in founding S.H.I.E.L.D. Are still very much in process there.
Right.
And I think that all gets ramped up in the Avengers. So not having seen a word that Joss has written, I got to assume that there's going to be some of that, yeah.
And I know that some of the fans had a little bit of a criticism with this film that maybe with Iron Man 2, that maybe the filmmakers bit off a little bit more than they could chew with two villains and the War Machine storyline and the Demon in the Bottle storyline and Black Widow and Sam and all this stuff. And I was curious if you think there's maybe a point to that or if that's just sort of fanboy, bitter fanboy nonsense.
I'll be honest. I read some of the criticisms of Iron Man 2, and they, I guess I understood where they were coming from, but I had a very different experience, which I don't often have when I go see something I worked in, which is I was totally swept away. I found it hugely thrilling. And I think origin movies are origin movies, and that's what Iron Man 1 was. And they have some great challenges and some things that they just get to come with them. It's really an introduction. You're kind of falling in love. It's very simple. It's kind of like, the making of a hero. To figure out how to make the next thing work, I like to take that as a chapter. What I dig about this is each one of them exists unto itself, and it certainly must, but to me, they're chapters of a larger thing. I actually really look forward to taking my daughter, or just going by myself someday, to the kind of 3D Marvel marathon, 18 hours of watching this whole thing come together.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Think Iron Man 2 in that context is going to shoot down some of those things.
Yeah. And deleted scenes, you mentioned there were some deleted scenes on the DVD and Blu-ray.
Yeah, great deleted scenes. There's a great scene. Gwyneth is great in it, so I'm in it too. A very funny scene at the congressional hearing where Coulson was introduced. That scene was so much going on. It's kind of like what you're saying. They've got so much to do, and do you take out some of those, Black Widow? Which one of those things do you take out? Because really, what you're doing is, if that spreads the focus a little thin in some parts of the movie, the payback for that is so great later in some of the other movies, and I think they're wise to kind of take that risk. There's a great scene with Robert and Scarlett and Gwyneth that's very sexy and naughty, and there's the S.H.I.E.L.D. archive, which is amazing. You can watch the DVD and different kind of S.H.I.E.L.D. tidbits pop up. Nice. And the thing I really liked a lot is there's this, maybe it's just for film heads, but it's a pre-visualization and animation stuff which shows you some of the great action scenes in its various stages of development. One that looks like a kind of 90s computer game, right. And then the next version you go, whoa, they didn't have anything like that in the 90s, and then next thing you know, it's Robert doing it,
As a filmmaker yourself and as a veteran actor for so many years, what is your sort of opinion of what Marvel is trying to do with this whole, setting up all these different films to link together? I mean, it's quite ambitious and never been done before.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. I love it. It feels like something new. I certainly know people who kind of sneer at the comic book stuff, but to me that just feels goofy, just because these are legends. And I like that they're a little silly sometimes. I like that they're kind of tongue-in-cheek, because I also feel like it's really, this series is giving them room to grow up a little bit. They're very American pop culture versions of legends, and I think the stuff within them is being tailored to really kind of talk about things of the moment to a certain extent. And I think look, bottom line, they're really fun. But I also feel like there's room for them to be powerful. And I certainly found a lot of Iron Man and Iron Man 2 really moving. I hope Thor's going to be moving as well.